Gabriel Josh Johnson here, Gospel Herald, CitySportsReport.com. I'm here with photographer Michael Lebrecht. Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful today. Thank you.
How are you enjoying the U.S. Open, the sights, the sounds, everything?
Well, it's always great to be at the U.S. Open as long as the weather cooperates, which it has. It's a little hot, but it's beautiful. The event is always great for the city of New York. I'm a native New Yorker, and it just brings so much excitement to the city. And as a photographer coming here, it's the atmosphere is wonderful, and I really enjoy it.
What are some of your most memorable moments from covering the U.S. Open?
Wow. Well, I've been coming to the Open since '97, primarily as an assistant, photographer's assistant, with the great Manny Milan. And he worked for Sports Illustrated for many years. So I used to come, cover, set up remote cameras, do all that with him, and then transitioned into shooting myself. And nowadays, it's more of a lot of corporate stuff that I do here rather than the action itself. But it's still great to be here in the environment. Fun venue.
So there are a lot of young people that are going to watch this, and when you're young, you want to be the star. You want to be Venus. You want to be Serena. You want to be Djokovic. But sometimes we don't have the talent to be that. But we have talents that can be used in other ways. Me and you are, and Clyde behind the camera are examples of that. What would you say to some of the youth who would like to get involved in that way?
Well, in anything you do, I have three kids myself, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old. You let kids be kids. They find their way. Whatever passion they have, that will showcase. It may take time, but if they have the passion, it will come through, whether they're going to be the best or the best they can be. And I really think there's no different because internally, if you have the passion, you're successful. So, for any young kid out there, if you have the passion, you'll have the dedication, you'll be able to succeed in life.
So what was it that inspired the passion inside of you to pursue photography?
Well, as a young kid growing up in New York City, I love sports. I was outside playing all the time. I mean, I can't get my kids to come out as much these days because of the video games, but I was outside playing sports all the time. So being a sports fan, I would love the opportunity to go to basketball games, baseball games, hockey games, you name it, anything. I loved it. And so I noticed photographers were down on the field or the court. And I was like, wow, they get to be down there and they get paid? That's something I want to do. And I would bring my camera. I would, pay for a ticket all the way upstairs in Madison Square Garden, and I would sneak downstairs with my camera. And ushers would chase me around the building. Where's your ticket? I'd go to the other side. Where's your ticket? Go to the other side. But I would be able to shoot, NBA games. And it was so much fun learning how to do that. The passion was there, and I stayed with it, went to college, interned at ABC Television in New York. I met a wonderful person who used to be a Sports Illustrated photographer, and he introduced me to Manny Milan, and that was it. Started assisting, started shooting, and the dream came true.
So now that you've admitted that you're a big sports fan, so who would be on the field, any sport, who would be the photography version of you on the field?
It's hard to compare myself to anybody. I feel I'm still young, even though I've been doing it for 17 years. I still got a ways to go. I don't look at someone to compare myself to. That's not my position, and I've never did that. I mean, obviously, there's inspirations out there for myself, looking at a broad array of photographers, their style, but at the end, you try to implement what you're about. So I won't go ahead and compare myself to anybody.
So when you shot the cover of The Chosen One for LeBron James, what was that experience like, and what has come of that?
Well, the experience was phenomenal, except the fact that I really didn't know it was going to be a cover. It was early on in my career, and about 6 months prior to that is when I photographed LeBron at the ABCD camp in Teaneck, New Jersey. And there I photographed many, many kids, LeBron being one of them. And my work got noticed by Sports Illustrated. I was still assisting. I was still an assistant at that time. But they saw something in the work that I was producing for myself while I was assisting there. And they started to hire me to do little jobs. And that started to work out really, really good for me because I almost had creative control because they didn't know what they were going to expect from me. So they would just send me out, hey, just go do this portrait. And I'm like, okay. And I'd come back with like more than just a portrait. One example was Jason Kidd. I had to go photograph his family because there was an article in Sports Illustrated. The cover was already shot. The opener was in place. All they needed was 1/4 of a page slot for a family photo. I went to Jason's house. I met his wife. I brought a couple dozen roses. I had ideas in my head. I didn't know if they were going to be willing to do it. Jason wasn't home when I got there. His then wife, Jamana, she was open to my ideas, and we photographed the family for 2 hours. SI saw the images. They changed the entire layout except the cover. I got the opener, I got a full page, and that 1/4 of a page of the family, I got that too. So that was when I think they realized, wow, we have something in this kid. We'll continue to use him. So the LeBron cover was an assignment to go out there right before the Olympics, a couple weeks before the Olympics, in which I was going to be assisting a photographer at that venue. I photographed LeBron in Akron, Ohio. It was a wonderful time. He came out. It was about a 4-hour photo shoot throughout the day, in between his practice, before, after, worked out well. And so the first week of the Olympics in 2002, Salt Lake City, I'm carrying the photographer's bags, and the first week of the Olympics, it's the LeBron James cover, and it's my cover, and I'm still assisting. So it was one of those things that it felt really, really good. I didn't really let it get to my head because I knew the transition that was in place. And I still continued to assist and shoot throughout that year. But that year I wound up getting 4 covers for Sports Illustrated. So it was great.
So obviously, the first cover is always going to be the most memorable.
Yes.
But what are some other covers that you've done for Sports Illustrated that are really memorable for you?
There have been quite a few. I've been very fortunate in that. I would say there's a handful, but Tommy Harris, Oklahoma, I created rain on a beautiful day in Oklahoma. That was really nice. Kenyon Martin, where he showed his, tattoo. It was like a 10-minute photo shoot. He didn't want to do it, and then he said, all right, fine, I'll do it after pressing him. That was cool. Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jimmy Johnson, Chad Ochocinco. There's been many, and I've enjoyed all of them. So it's been great.
Now, how much, as a photographer, you're an easy person to talk to. I'm sure the athletes, their family, they see that too. How much do you credit that to you as a person as opposed to your actual talent as a photographer?
It's taken me a minute to recognize that because, I just feel like I'm blessed and I do what I do and I don't give it too much mind. But a friend of mine who assisted me and then went on to have a very successful photography career in Germany mentioned, Mike, it always amazes me you don't do much more advertising work. You don't recognize your worth. And I'm like, I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm doing what I do and I love it. He goes, no. You're only a handful of people that get to do what you do in the entire world. And it's like, wow, and it made me think, why? Why is that? And I think it has to do with the fact that I treat everybody It doesn't matter if you're the security guard or the president of the company. I treat them with the same respect. So when I'm in the presence of a celebrity, they're a human being, they're a person. So I don't get too high or too low, and I think they sense the realness, and that's what helps my portraiture because of the comfortability that they display in front of me, and I'm able to capture that. And I think that's been part of my success because there are many great photographers and lighting photographers, but what separates me, and I had to think about that because I just, fortunate that you're in the situation you're in, but it's more than just fortunate. And I think it has to do with that, given the respect and treating people as they are people.
So you mentioned your faith. Outside of work, maybe during work, when has your faith been of most importance to you?
Uh, Faith is why I'm here today. I mean, I'm a husband, a father of three, and everything I do, it's controlled by the higher power, I feel. So you do it with respect, you be kind, and those things will, in return, come your way. So this journey in life is that. It's the journey. You think you can control certain things, but we're here doing what we do, and I just feel blessed.
Last question. If you can shoot anybody who's alive or has walked the face of the
We're
earth.
talking with a camera, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Let's make that
I forgot
clear.
you're from Brooklyn.
Exactly.
But if you could shoot anybody with your camera, anybody alive, anybody who has walked the face of the earth, three people, who would you shoot?
Wow, three people. Portrait wise, Mariana was on that list, and I had the good fortune to actually do a portrait of him his last season last year. Being from New York, that was very important to me. Derek Jeter's on that list. I haven't had the opportunity to do a portrait with Derek. Um, I think more into politics. Obama would be someone that I would love the opportunity to meet and do a portrait with. And, I think I would throw Muhammad Ali in there. I would say Muhammad Ali, just because everything that he's about is it's amazing.
Well, I think the good people at the Gospel Herald Network might be able to make one, if not a couple of those things happen. So hopefully you out there can help that happen. But we would love to see those images of you shooting Jeter, especially before he retires, uh, an African American president, and the legendary Muhammad Ali. Thanks a lot for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.